Hello, hello, Friday. Happy Friday.
Hey, Neil. Hey, everyone.
And
Hello.
I call the Friends of Friday. I'm in a very noisy location, in a, what is it called? Some kind of a chicken place. Stumble 22, Texas chicken joint. So I'm just going to be in listening mode.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
So Drew should also be joining shortly. I think today we should really figure out any incremental changes required uh, before we call this document complete and ready for review. So let's wait for Drew. Oh, Drew is here. Okay, Drew, take it away. Let's plow through.
Hey, so can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. I spent the last meeting, my speaker, my mic's messed up, so I spent the last meeting, I think, on unanticipated mute. So Neil, you're going to be gone, right, for the next few weeks?
Yeah.
So I think we need to plow through as much as we can today of the stuff that you're driving, and then there'll be a few other things like Charlie and I've had a warm reset discussion and what resets look like. I think that we can work on the reset definitions in your absence because we have plenty of industry experts here that can help us get that right. But they, finalizing some of the in-band things, we need you here. So let's see what we can do.
Yeah. So one major item that I took to ownership was the example section.
Yeah.
The PCIe in-band.
Well, and can I just go through? I have a few quick questions for you, and then we'll spend most of our time there. So one of them is, can you see what I'm sharing?
Oh yeah, actually I should fix the meta. So let me do that right now.
Okay, I just asked. I thought you meant to change that, but I wasn't sure. I wanted to ask.
Yeah. So I changed the email.
Yeah.
It's
just not the company.
Yeah, it's a new company, but the company name actually is not Meta anymore. So I'll fix it.
Okay. The next
I'm going to delete it for now because
well, that's fine. Yeah, I'll let you figure that out.
I'm in edit mode. Control Z. Control.
So next thing is other names and brands may be claimed. You added this, and I mean, like we have all this stuff that the attorneys have approved. Like, is there a particular reason we're adding this line? Like, did a lawyer tell us to do that?
Well, so this was in the response to the action item I took related to PCIe terminology. The term PCIe that we're using here, and you gave me an action item to go figure out how to handle that.
Yeah.
So I looked at a few other collaterals, and this is how, whenever we use PCIe terminology or actually any other industry-driven terminology, this is how I've seen documents calling it out.
Okay.
With the asterisk. With the asterisk. So why asterisk is not showing here?
Well, you had a bullet before. I deleted the bullet.
Not bullet. It should be asterisk.
Okay. If you meant like that.
Yeah.
Okay. It was bulleted, and I'm like, I didn't think you meant it to be bulleted. I think when you hit space, it bulleted it for you.
Got you. Sorry, that was so asterisk. Yeah. And
Okay.
then if you scroll down and look for any PCIe anywhere, if you search, there's an asterisk after that. So that's kind of how I've seen documents handling this.
I've never seen that done in an OCP doc before, though. So, I mean, what I'm gonna do is accept this for the moment, and but if someone, like, I think we just need to like get feedback from the OCP organization and make sure we follow their practices. So.
Yeah. I mean, Yogesh, you are on call, right? I mean, I learned from Intel, or while I was at Intel. This is how we work on that.
Okay, it's very noisy here, so if you can hear me, I think another thing you can do is wherever we have that word, we can add a footnote and very explicitly say PCIe is, you know how we used to do at Intel, right? Every time we
No,
say,
no. This is how we turn around, because if you have to put a footnote, Yogesh, I tried that. I mean, actually, I do have now. I mean, if you scroll down, but then it gets very like
it is.
there'll be too many
But,
pages.
yeah, yeah, you're right.
So the first time I did it, like first page, first time when I introduced, and then after that I am not putting that. Otherwise,
And, yeah, or we can also add right underneath other brand names. We can just explicitly say wherever PCIe, just because they are the only ones we are worried about, we can just say PCIe is the registered brand name and owned by blah blah, whatever it is, the standard class, right? We can do upfront also if you want.
Yeah, I prefer that because whenever I see PCIe asterisk, I think it means something like a wild card.
So the
PCIe.
practice, Drew, is on the first occurrence of the in the document you add it. So you'll not see it everywhere, only at the first place. But
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
I'm
saying
fine with
is
that.
also add up front.
I like that. I'm just saying like what we've got now is an asterisk by every PCIe, and that confused me because I'm like, hold on, are we saying like, do we mean CXL is included because it's kind of PCIe asterisk? What is it? What does PCIe asterisk mean?
yeah, actually, so that's another good point, right? We are using so many terminologies which are elsewhere defined, and some of them are like their own property, right? These terminologies. So at just like we are doing for PCI, we should be doing the same thing for other acronyms also, which is not defined in OCP.
Okay, well, we can keep working on that in your absence, Anil,
Yeah.
and figure that out. So, the other thing I wanted to mention is, I noticed that you made the figure headings all heading 3,
Yeah.
and that messes the table of contents up.
Uh,
See, it puts the big, and I don't know why it does it bigger, but it indents it wrong because it's centered. Um, so I don't think it should be heading 3. I think it should just be bold normal.
then I have hyphenation and reference, adding a reference to figure in the text. I don't know how you will do that. I mean, if you can figure that out, then I'm okay. I couldn't
Oh,
figure out.
I'll show you how to do it. What you do is you go here and then you insert a bookmark and now you can reference, you can hyperlink to that.
So I was trying that. It didn't work for me. It's kind of it puts the link to the whole document.
No, well, so watch. Okay, so if I go bookmark and insert the bookmark and copy it, and then if I follow that reference, I'm just going to paste. I don't think I should just share my whole window.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
Okay, so I just hit Control V, and it should, yeah, jump right to that picture. See, it jumped right to it.
Okay. Yeah. So then in that case, I mean, typically when I write the document, right, I use I define a unique heading type for
Yeah,
this figure.
In Word you can do that. I don't think there's a way to do it in Google Docs. That's the
I
downside
see.
of
I see.
Google Docs.
Then you can change it, or if you want I can change it, because I since I did it I can change it. So it's easy.
Okay, well I can fix it. I just don't want to muddy the table of contents up. It's just
Yeah. Okay.
okay. Sounds good. Okay, we'll clear up the asterisks and let's see. And then you added AK. Well, that shouldn't be AKS DUE, but you had AKA DUE. And
AKA, sorry.
I knew what you meant. Yeah. Uh, so that's fine. Uh, I think we should just accept those, but I'll get back to it later. Okay. And so now, okay, you made changes here.
Yeah, so when I was reading, I felt that it needs a little more clarity. So I went ahead and made some suggestions here.
Here, let's see. I'm trying to figure out. I've forgotten. I thought I could tell it to tools. I wanted to just hide. I wanted to do the simplified comments. Let's just look at it. Section focusing on the requirements for. So we call it solutions. We call it methods.
Well, so yeah, as far as in-band, out-of-band, at least, I mean, the way I have been driving, I mean, defining and writing is methods.
Okay, because it says solution here. See.
The section focuses on
You
requirements
can just
for
drop solution. Management is
no
enough.
hardware fault management solution. But then when it comes to the in-band and out-of-band, right? Those are methods.
Let's see if I do that. I like what he said. For I think we could just say this section focuses on requirements for in-band hardware fault management.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
That's
And
clean.
Anil, you sure you want to say without any help from out of band? You're kind of restricting by adding that.
Sorry, Yogesh?
You have without any assistance from out of band such as BMC. I think we discussed that before, but I'm just kind of rethinking, do we have to be like so descriptive there? Like, when there could be cases where help may be helpful.
Well, he said that. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I mean, like you may be able to. Well, I think if I understand you right, Anil, it sounds like you're saying you do some of it without the BMC's help, but then there'll be certain classes of errors that require out of band.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, I think leave it there, then that's fine. Generally without help, but you want to say that generally, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
And he includes other
If,
cases where you need. I mean, I
yeah,
thought it was.
yeah, I was trying to, if you look at the next section, which called out-of-band, I was trying to kind of use the same verbiage because that's how the out-of-band section was written. So I kind of used the same flow so that when somebody reading it, it doesn't look like.
But that's different, right? Out of band. Do you know any case where out of band actually needs help from like any in-band agent? I mean, sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you consider OS an agent, yeah, for
Of
phase
course,
of
yeah.
line. But
Yeah,
that's yeah, okay. I guess
in-band
Hey,
method, right?
it's really hard to understand you, Yogesh, with all the noise in the background.
I'll revert back to my listen only mode. Sorry, guys.
Oh
Yeah.
no. I mean, well, I'm happy to have your input. It's just hard
I
to
mean,
understand.
it's very important to make it very clear, right? I mean, at least among us, right? I don't think one method can do everything completely. There is always a need for both depending upon the fault mode.
Well, I guess seeing that's where I'm like, I think that like without a band, if I want to repair the system, I should be able to get the data I need to repair the system and drive out of band RAS actions that I want to drive out of band.
Well,
And then the software absolutely has to get the errors, but that's so the software can react to it. And
so
it's
that's why
two
I'm
different.
saying if you look at from an overall RAS solution point of view, right? That's what I think. Yes, from an error log point of view, sure, you can pull out from out of band, right? But if you look at the overall RAS solution, which includes the kernel, the driver, handling of the flow errors, and of course any kind of firmware first flows and all that,
Yeah.
you will need both agents.
Well, and like that, right? Like I guess the way I put it, Anil, is that there are all these people that have said, "Are you firmware first or OS first?" And the actual intent was that you could be both. That well, not both, but like if you're firmware first, it doesn't mean the OS didn't see the error logs. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's the same thing here. Is that there are different reasons to send the errors different places, and they're both valid reasons, and we want to send them both places. So if that's what you're trying to say, I 100% agree with you.
uh, yes and no. The firmware first, OS first, literally that's what it means, like firmware first and then OS. or it could be just firmware only.
No, no,
Okay.
firmware. No. When I worked on firmware first with Amy Santoni, when we were first designing EMCA2, the explicit intent was that firmware first meant that firmware could see the error. If it completely handled the error, it could hide it. But if it didn't, it would expose it to the OS, and then the OS would handle it.
Yeah.
So you could have an error that was processed by both. It wasn't meant to be exclusive.
Yeah. I'm saying same thing.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm saying the same principle applies here, that we want to log things out of band so we can repair things a lot of the times, but we also obviously have to send things in band because the OS has to react to it. So we shouldn't tend to think of these as mutually exclusive things.
Let me suggest that if you're talking about, if you have a section here to talk about in-band fault management, just talk about in-band fault management. And if you want to talk about the then interaction between in-band and out-of-band, do that as a separate section. Don't convolute each section that it's so complicated you can't read it. Talk about in-band and then talk about cooperating sequential processes or whatever you want to call them.
That's what we did actually. That's what we did. This is the introduction, right? Where we are kind of setting the stage to contrast the two so that we clarify what we mean. And then when we go deeper, then we do describe in-band independently and then out-of-band independently. And then we converge again. If you look at the flow.
And Anil, what I'll do is, in your absence, is let's get through this. And I think what I want to do is make sure that we don't make, like, so many people got confused about firmware first and what it really meant. And so we'll just make sure that we are clear that you very well might want to send errors both places because they'll be used for different purposes. So please do not think of these as mutually exclusive things.
Yeah. All I was pointing out is, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was pointing out is that when it comes to the BMC, like what we're calling out-of-band method and in-band method, when we're trying to contrast the two, yes, it's possible to say BMC first and then in-band. Yes, it's possible, but the use case of that is, I mean, I would not call that a very efficient implementation of any RAS flow.
But we're not talking about first or second in this case. We're just saying the error logs need to go out of band and in band, and there's no efficiency problem.
So why don't we put Dean's comment, which I agree with, into practice and focus purely on in band, right? So if I'm looking at the paragraph that's on the screen, if we're describing only in band, I would remove the sentence starting with "it is important to clarify." And then I would also remove the clause in the next sentence that says, and contrast that with out-of-band methods, right? Those are both, not talking about in-band methods. If you remove those, then that paragraph is fully focused on in-band, right? And like Anil, I don't think anyone's, or Andrew, I honestly don't even think the two of you are disagreeing. And I don't think anyone disagrees.
No, I think we agree. So, I think it's just how do we word it super clearly. So I like you.
The reason, by the way, the reason I wanted to clarify that because there was a comment I think from John Pando, I think, where he was getting confused and saying, "Oh, if I can do everything with out-of-band, then why do we need an in-band?"
And the way to handle that is the way Dean suggested, which is you fully describe out-of-band, you fully describe in-band, and then you have a section saying, "Hey, which one is more appropriate in what circumstances?" Right?
I see. Okay, that's fair. Then let's remove it from here, and then we'll make maybe another paragraph clarifying that.
And then
Or rather, don't remove it. Sorry, my bad. Cut from here and then paste it. Maybe a third paragraph, and then we can edit it further. Because the verbiage is useful. It doesn't belong here.
Well, I think I don't even want to call it a certain class. I think I want to reword it and just say that we may choose to send error logs both places. It's not a class of errors. It's just they may go to different places for different purposes.
Sure, the intent is same, but I mean, if you don't like the class, then either way you can say. Yeah. But the idea is Yeah.
We'll make sure that I hear you, Anil, and I think I mean I agree with you. So
Yeah.
we'll make sure we make that really clear.
And that usage is a policy decision, right? So some data centers might not follow that method and other ones might. And so what you have are enough mechanisms in place that you can modify the policy to suit your needs. And that's what we need to be careful to distinguish between the mechanisms and the policies.
Yes. In fact, that is the right way to think, that these are the policies. From
Yeah.
an architectural requirement point of view, you want to put both requirements, and then policies are the one that decide that. Yeah.
That sounds good. So we'll hold to that as we work through this, and I think we have the same. Now I'm pretty strongly opposed to this rewording, Neil, because when I worded this, I worded it to match the verbiage of the RAS API, and so I really don't want to change it. It's RAS configuration, error logging and reporting, RAS actions, and error injection. I mean that's the so I really want that to align to the RAS API. So I'm not going to accept that. I think that's important. Then the I guess this we need to yeah, I mean I makes sense, right? The OS has to handle some of this stuff. So I think that we will this one is more interesting. I'm going to cut it. And do we want to have where do we want to have that merge paragraph? Is it right here after we describe the two system goals? And then we say they can work together. It's a policy decision.
So, Drew, if you scroll up in the very beginning, we started with like in-band and out-of-band method overview right here. And I think this may be the place to.
No, I kind of agree with Drew, right? There was an integration into hyperscalers, something environments or something section, right? Part of that integration. Yeah. So part of the integration is, I'll call it hyperscaler policy, right? And part of the point is hyperscaler policy needs to be able to choose in-band or out-of-band. Sometimes it's for, I'll call it functional reasons. Sometimes it's just a choice, right? But that should be described here as like one of the requirements is to allow hyperscaler policy choices.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I see fine.
Yeah, I really like that to kind of stick to requirements. I think one of our problems is we're also trying to educate people at the same time.
Yeah, and that's fair, because we are describing in band, with the out of band, then we're saying integration, and then we clarify. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, we'll work on that. I'm putting I'll put a heading 3 here, and I'll highlight it, and we'll work on that. And I mean I think we'll try to say the things you want to say, Anil. Like I think we're in agreement. And I really like what Dean said about making it separate. And I think we're good. I think we're on the right track.
Yeah, the key thing here is to clarify that from a hyperscaler point of view, right? There is a dependencies for some classes of errors between basically pure out of band or pure in band will always have some limitations, and we want to make sure that we acknowledge that. And that's it. How do we implement it? It's up to the implementation. We won't call that here.
I think a lot of that is captured in the tables when we talk about what's feasible where. Like
yeah, table kind of makes it more clear, but then sometimes it's hard to read through the table and then make the interpretation. So it's better to just spell it out in 1 or 2 sentences and then point to table.
Okay.
Yeah, in tables in section 5. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, well, okay, but I do want to drill that point home. I really drives me up the wall when I hear people talk about firmware first or OS first, and if firmware gets it, the OS doesn't, and that wasn't the intent. So
yeah, that was not intended.
I would not repeat that mistake here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll work on that. I mean, thanks, Anil. I think that this will be a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Then, okay, all this wasn't changed. And I asked about the asterisks. We'll work on the asterisks.
Yeah, I was trying to finish my action item. This is a approach I came up with, but you know, if this is confusing, then you know, let's suggest something else. I'm okay
We'll
either
just,
way.
yeah, if we can just acknowledge that it's owned by the PCIe SIG somewhere, then hopefully we'll be okay. Okay, so but let's see example of PCIe error handling flow for in-band methods. And it looks like you mainly deleted the bullets here.
Yeah. So this one actually, I wanted to keep it very simple. Okay, and I think John Vander was suggesting similar thing, and then I didn't understand fully what he meant with that. But then as I was reading through that, I felt that you don't really have to talk about kernel issues and all that kind of thing. Just clarify how a typical Linux-based implementation looks like.
Okay, I mean I think that looks fine to me. And
after that, I did mention I did leave this table here because it further clarifies the block diagram that once you got the F trace, what happens after that? Like there's three things happen: SysFS, kernel logs, and trace points.
okay. Well, I think that makes sense, and I think this drawing needs more explanation. But we've got it. By referring to this document, then we anyone that wants more information can go see what we mean. So that looks good. And then Suke added status mask. That's not particularly controversial with me. Is that controversial with anyone? I mean, it's what we look at all the time with PCIe error. So
I think Drew, I think the next part maybe was I was a little confused on the trace points format general. For I feel like this was maybe missing some something here.
oh, you're right. I think it looks like that the thing you highlighted
Oh,
formatted.
hold on. Let me see. Only generated if tracing enabled, exported as fields and format, general format.
Just some got messed up. It's just yeah.
Okay, let me take a look at this. Is maybe I made a mistake here. Sorry.
I mean, it's wrong. I mean, thank you. It's a good catch, Suke. It looks wrong.
Yeah.
You can fix it.
Yeah, I know what's going on. There's some hyperlinks were there, and I kind of messed up on that. Okay, I'll
some
fix
copy paste thing or something
Yeah.
like yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll fix it. Sorry.
I'm gonna.
With respect to the PCI correctable errors, I know, Drew, you talked about correctable error handling for memory and how we have counters, but we don't seem to have similar capability for PCI. Is
Yeah.
there any suggestion in the PDF to kind of introduce counters so that we can better evaluate the link rather than kind of getting bottlenecked by the interrupt service routine?
Well, I think it maybe counters and rate limiting, right? Like you.
Wait. Are you saying PCI correctable error?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, SysFS has counter, right? In fact, PCI errors actually is much more fine granular than memory correctable error.
Well, we're talking about out of band.
No, so in band also it's kind of
Oh.
dependent on the interrupt service routine, right? So you have to have MSI interrupt the kernel and then SysFS counters get updated.
No,
What I'm
not
talking
necessary. Not necessary. Even if let's say you have firmware first and firmware reads the registers, clears them, then firmware will notify to OS. This is what Drew was saying earlier, right? And then when OS gets that notify, then same AER handler is called. And the same flow, actually, in fact, that's a good point. I should clarify, I should make that clear that the input to this, if you scroll up to the drawing, the because I was describing, like OS first here, the step 2, raise interrupt, and that calls the AER driver. If we are in the firmware first, then the firmware sends a notify, and AER driver calls again. It's called again, and AER driver does exactly the same thing, like except the difference is rather reading registers. The DHES table has that the whole super formatted data, so it parses that
Right.
and then
Right. So
dump it.
I know that it can be handled by firmware first. I was just trying to draw comparisons with how memory correctable errors, we generally have counters, but we don't have like a per root port counters in case of PCI.
That's why I'm trying to comment. I mean, reply to you. And maybe I'm not following you. For memory errors, EDEC driver.
So, for example, if the hardware is able to do it, then even the first step, the firmware first handling, it doesn't need to get an interrupt for every correctable error. It only the first one can
Talking
be
about
waited.
thresholds, Anil, he's talking about thresholds, where in memory you can set the thresholds, whereas PCIe, that standard-based thresholding is not there.
Well, and rate, we really want rate limiting, just as a reminder, or at least I do. But sure. Yeah, I mean, rate limiting would be super helpful for out of band for URs, but maybe in band. I don't know. It's like an OS dependent thing, right? I mean, sometimes you expect that's what I hate. Sometimes you expect URs, and sometimes they're a sign that something's gone wrong.
Amar, are you actually referring to hardware counters? I think that's what you're referring to,
Right.
Yeah,
Like we
I
have
don't
for
think
memory.
everyone quite got that. So, correctable memory errors, there are counters in hardware, the error count.
Yeah.
Whereas, yes, you're right. Most PCI Express errors do not have counters.
Right.
So
the
that is
underlying
a
problem
part of a PCIe standardization spec, right? It's a very hard to influence. Now, maybe we need to do the PCIe ECN or some request.
Well,
so the underlying problem I'm trying to address, trying to get to is that in memory, because of those counters, we can still get a good estimate of or a good representation of how frequently those are happening. But somehow in PCI, these interrupt service routines kind of get into the way. So you can only get to the like a lower bound of which is dependent on the interrupt service routine. And if the rates are happening beyond that, you are kind of limited by the handling you have right now.
So to be fair, there are counters, but they're not PCI Express compliant counters necessarily. So there are some counters in different like silicon vendors implementations.
We have vendor specific counters.
Exactly. They're vendor specific.
So we may, here's what I would propose for that is that maybe we really need to come back to the PCIe discussion and kind of check in on the stuff that we did when we were talking to Erwin. And so maybe what we could do, Amer, is come back to the counters then and say, okay, what, because I've had that where I'm looking at a system and I just go see which AER bits are set, and I have no idea if I'm getting flooded or if they just happen to get set. And so
Drew, sorry to interrupt you. You do know that because as per the PCI spec, if multiple errors are detected, especially for correctable error, then there is a separate bit set in the root error status.
That doesn't tell you how many multiple is.
Yeah. No. I'm just trying to clarify. We do know that multiple error happen. Okay, so at least that clarity is there.
But how many? Like, do we have one, or do we have two, or do we have a million? And like sometimes we've had a million, and we didn't know why. We didn't even know we were having a million.
Anil, I think the problem, I know what Amir is speaking, we are experiencing even in our fleet, right? With the AI infrastructures, the number of PCI devices has increased so much. Okay.
I know.
The pain of that's why
So the way we are solving the problem, it's not a problem that we don't have a solution. Okay. Two things. One is in the spec there is a lane error status, per lane error counters already defined today. There's a separate extent capability. It's called per lane error counter, and you can read that, and it'll tell you. But the only difference is it is the per lane CRC, which is checked. But if you have protocol errors or the retries are happening, those are not counted there.
Only physical layer is covered.
Only the physical layer, right? That's where I think this the spree or the flood of error typically happens. Or starts from.
Like we have the, I just want to, like we have the sysfs counters, right? We have one for each category in a way.
Yeah, so sysfs doesn't capture lane error today. Maybe that's the improvement we need to do in sysfs.
Well, yes. And here's what I propose is because Anil's time is limited before he leaves, I propose let's get through this as it's written. Like let's adopt the mindset we want to get this document out. And then what we'll do is we'll circle back to some scenarios and circle back to PCIe and look at the things that we talked about wanting to do. And Amor, I'm in complete alignment with digging into that and looking, as a separate discussion. I just don't want that to hold up the in-band version of the document.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think another consideration there is we started these requirements within the confines of the existing industry standards. Now we are getting into the area where we are like, we need to change the standard or extend the standard by adding this counter or whatever, right? We kind of need to, sure, those things need to happen, but not in this requirement talk.
So let's come back to PCIe. Like I said, we'll review the spreadsheet. We'll list the things that we want to do. And then what we'll need to do is probably break off into sub-discussions where a PCI SIG member has a PCI SIG conversation for the purpose of submitting something to the SIG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion to call that out. I mean, as a future activity after we release this document.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to be too bullheaded here. I just want to get this done.
Only my request is, I think we need to put this timeline for this spec. Right now, we are going like a little bit longer than expected.
I think we're
almost there.
Yeah.
I mean, Rama, I think it's this week or next is my goal.
No, good. We should celebrate. Yeah, that's good.
Actually, if you don't mind, let's remove these names now, right? Because we kind of already decided who's doing it.
I totally agree. And so, whoops, I screwed up. So Rama, that's why I'm being kind of pushy about not making extra changes to the doc. I want to just get it done and get it out.
I know we chatted offline also. How do we make this possible? Yeah.
So now 40 minutes are over, 20 minutes are left. So if you scroll down the section that I took an action item to write down. Yeah. So I need help for team here to kind of take a look at it, add comments. This is what I came up with for PCI correct error reporting example using in-band method. And I really kind of piggyback on the section we just reviewed it, and then provided a little more context in terms of the use case point of view.
I can clean up the references for you.
That'll be good, yeah.
I think you mean present them to the, right? Oh, here, let me undo what I did. Right here where I think it should be, once the error logs are saved in ftrace, the RISE team may further process the logs and present them to that in-band.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What's end device ports? Did you mean endpoint? At the beginning of the section. Sorry, you have like exist within a system such as root port, downstream port, end device ports, etc. I was wondering, never heard about end device ports. I was wondering if it was endpoint that you meant, or
endpoint.
Okay, where are we? I'm
just at the beginning of the paragraph, Drew.
Yeah.
Sentence.
Yeah, endpoint.
Walk right over that. Yes.
Yeah, downstream port is correct, right?
Yeah.
And device endpoints.
Yes, exactly. Endpoint.
Yeah.
So I think don't say in device endpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good catch. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That is a good catch. Thank you, Seb.
So device endpoint meaning upstream port of the device, is it?
What code? Sorry.
It's downstream from the host, from a host. So
we already mentioned downstream. So what does it mean?
So
downstream port is referred to if you have a switch.
Yeah, you
right?
can have a switch. So
So switch downstream port. The downstream port refers to switch downstream port.
It's just
Maybe
anything
you should call it
downstream
switch downstream port.
Yeah, it's anything downstream of the root port, and that's the right term. Yeah.
Well, it's not any, right? So think about if you have a switch which has an upstream port and downstream port, right? And then you have end device, right? So if you look at it from a root port point of view, you will see an upstream port of switch, then you will see a downstream port of switch, and then you will see endpoint.
Yeah.
Basically, an endpoint is something which doesn't have anything else under it in the hierarchy.
Yeah,
Correct.
but a downstream port is any port that's downstream of the root port, because you could have the upstream or downstream port of the switch. They're both downstream of the root port.
That's not how the PCI
Usually,
spec, I interpret that.
Yeah, correct. Anil is correct, Drew. PCI spec is kind of a bit funny, but very specific.
So what do you call the downstream? What do you call the thing? Let's say you have a switch and you have a port that's connected to the root port.
Upstream
port.
So
it goes root port.
Upstream port.
It's an upstream port.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I should modify this drawing to explicitly clarify. Good question, right? Because I struggle with that. And after reading spec multiple times, then I figured, okay, that's what they mean.
Yeah. Why that'd be good. Do you want to give yourself an action item to add the upstream downstream?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Perfect. Okay. So back to this paragraph. Can I accept it?
So here in the line number 4, where we talk about to the platform specific firmware first, to the platform specific firmware first. So that implies that how's the firmware first defined over there? Like if the firmware handles it entirely or exclusively or passes it on to the OS. So those words to the platform specific firmware first.
I mean, it's either the OS or the firmware first to platform. I mean, it's like, I think actually we could just delete this first and it'd be a little clearer.
Right.
Yeah, that's my English language problem.
And I mean, when you mean platform specific firmware, you mean the BMC, right? Through a firmware first methodology, right?
It could be SMM, could be a firmware. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm anti-SMM. We are trying to get rid of SMM, but it could be SMM in this case.
Yeah. Or in the case of ARM world, right? There is a separate process.
Or it could be
mode. That's right.
Yeah, it could be an ARM, an ARM satellite management controller or something.
No. It could be application processor firmware.
Yeah. They have a separate dedicated processor.
Yeah, like EL3 or something.
EL3, exactly.
Do we need the word specific in there? Is
Yeah,
it
I think
platform
specific
firmware
could be
that we?
removed.
Specific
could be removed.
Okay.
And do we need to consider the device endpoint, whatever you're considering, signaling directly to the drivers via MSI?
I'm not sure it's relevant there, actually.
Well,
but now just for the platform firmware, since you guys mentioned a kind of a possible list of platform firmware, you may want to explicit that there as a few examples of what this could cover. That would help.
What do you all think? Shall I just add SMM EL3 out of band?
I would just add BIOS, and that takes care of SMM or.
So we don't have platform firmware defined anywhere in this document?
Well, yeah, you can define it. It's a runtime, right? The BIOS is not a right terminology for runtime.
That's already there. Put it
Where
there.
Yeah, I saw it too. Platform firmware on P.
Oh gosh, I don't see it. Where is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
we defined it. Yeah,
It's
somewhere.
not
Yeah.
in alphabetical order.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to just. Sorry, it needs to be in alphabetical order for my brain to work. Thank you for catching that. Okay, so I think because we defined it, I'll just get rid of the EG BIOS because BIOS is perfectly accurate anyway. Okay.
In the write-up, it's also mentioned either it can be in-band or via platform firmware out-of-band, but it can directly be out-of-band, like many Intel platforms have. If the OSC handshake, the OS doesn't claim the registers through signaling, it can directly go to ILM, basically BMC firmware can directly read through out-of-band PECI interfaces.
Sorry, Emmer,
So,
are you describing like enterprise? I will not call the name of the company, but enterprise type solution?
No, I think third and fourth line, it talks that it can either directly be operating system or via firmware first method to platform firmware. I'm just saying, even without a platform firmware method, there can be these AER registers could be accessed out of band.
But this whole section is about in-band, right? So
yeah.
We
Oh, okay. So, okay.
Yeah. That's why I was deleting the editing, make it clear. But yeah, so you're right. You're right. But that's I kind of said that in the out of band section in the next section. So we can just keep it separate, I think, if that's okay.
So in the fourth line, we can just remove that section to platform firmware.
Well, no, platform firmware is still an in-band method.
Yeah,
So
I mean
platform firmware is on the application processor, on the host thing running the OS. So when we say out of band, we really don't want SMM. We just want some management processor to magically surface error logs without relying on anything running on the host.
I think Emmer has a good point just to avoid confusion with platform firmware. Somebody can mean the EMC firmware also, right? So we can let's just say explicitly to platform firmware using in-band method, or
I mean, we have a definition for platform firmware.
Yeah, platform firmware is defined correctly.
Yeah, can we just link to it if it, we described it properly there?
That's what I was looking at, right? Remember I reordered it because it wasn't alphabetical, but it's running a mission mode course on the processor, so we don't need to make that clarification. But I will put a link to platform firmware just in case anyone's confused. Okay.
Yeah, this platform word has been used so loosely, right? I mean, I've seen PMC team calling it platform firmware also.
I understand, but we've defined it here to mean something.
Yeah.
So as long as we stick to our definition, it's good.
Yeah. It's good that we're clarifying here so that we try to avoid the ambiguity. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Okay. I'm going to accept this. I think it's in the ballpark. And then we can, if there are any other comments, we'll take them. But it's just clear just to put this clean.
So this is not describing anything new, right? Like we are just describing what's there today.
Yeah.
Yeah, many people are still confused. For example, PCI correctable error using in-band method. What are they?
Yeah, this is magically new, but it's. I think it's useful. I agree on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're absolutely right. There's nothing new here. And so I did add the upstream
Thank
code and
you.
downstream code.
That helped me. I understand. I learned something. Yeah. I just thought downstream was anything downstream of the upstream. So
well, I used to think the same way, but then I got confused. Oh, downstream protocol. What is downstream then?
Okay, and we didn't change the out of band, so I think we're pretty good. I mean, I think
I didn't touch that, by the way. I'm leaving up to you, Drew, to take it. But I don't think we need to make too many changes here because it's pretty.
So I actually had a question on this out of band side, guys. Maybe I think maybe there can be a little bit more. This could be a bit more fleshed out because I don't know how this really followed that much from the last like in-band example we had. Just reading through this, it talks about, yes, both in-band and out-of-band should coexist, but then I don't know if there was really that much more added here. Again, that was just my take. Maybe we
No,
wanted to keep this
it just
section
says
brief.
it just says they can be duplicated, and this is a duplicate path.
Yeah,
Really,
there's not a whole lot we want to describe because, first of all, out of band is the error collection, right? And the error collection, as long as we have it, that's all we need. This is a requirement, right?
Yeah, and we want it kind of open ended because I don't want to be too specific because we want to give the silicon implementers some flexibility to be creative and solve the problem as quickly as possible for their silicon. So that's why it doesn't say a whole lot. It's just like, yeah, I can get them out of band too. That's really all I wanted to say here.
Okay. So not like we didn't want a section specifically dedicated to OOB, but it's more like, hey, this is complementary to the
unless you have some thoughts that should go in the requirement, a specific requirement, right? Then think about it and call it out.
Yeah.
So I think was it?
What
go ahead.
maybe he's also at the like in the previous section you have called out OS first or firmware first, then the platform firmware, and then the handling is done OB. I think here if we call something out like that, meaning all the in-band flows are still there, but additionally we have out-of-band error logging duplicated, like in the example you were saying.
Well, I mean, that's the first sentence, right? Is that they may coexist, and
are you looking for a diagram to kind of illustrate that? And that's a good suggestion, by the way. If you want to.
Well, I'm not sure what you want, but I mean, I think I agree. I thought I tried to say it, but if I need to be clearer, I can do it.
Right.
I mean, so in the diagram, by the way, in the diagram that figure 14, I dotted line the BMC because the focus was in band, right? If you take the same diagram and just blank out everything and show the BMC and then just show that, hey, the error logs can be
I can refer to the diagram and say, in the diagram above, the error logs can be sent to the BMC. I mean,
right.
That's a good point. Yeah. And I did call out, I did make the dotted line because I wanted to kind of clarify that the focus here is in band. But
for corrected errors, if you see, like there's nothing special OS is doing, right? It's logging. Eventually, if it's an SI issue, it's a service action where someone has to kind of come from outside and check, which component in that data path is problematic and causing this high rate of correctable errors, right? So it's not like OS is doing something special, so we want to kind of give it a preferential it's a preferential path in any way. In a way, for most of the deployment, out of band is a preferential path because that could generate faults and trigger a service action.
Well, for
actually, no, hold on. If you scroll up to the diagram, what you said is correct, that OS gets it, but then after that, there is in the green box, right?
So
OS
for example, in this diagram, the BMC directly seems to be talking to root complex. So the firmware in the CPU doesn't come into play. So you're somehow saying firmware first handling doesn't get incorporated when it's out of band.
It's vague. I think it's intentionally vague because if you look at what it's saying, somehow it communicates with this box that surrounds the root complex. And that's actually perfect because the implementations may vary in pieces of silicon. The goal is to get them out of band, but the actual method for doing it may vary.
I also just want to add, like, the OS is not doing anything doesn't mean the OS can't do anything. I mean, different OSs may decide to handle these differently. For example, the OS may decide to downgrade the link speed when it gets too many correctable errors, too many PCI Express correctable errors, and that's an action that the OS could do. Whether it's a particular OS is doing it or not today is kind of a different thing.
I mean, you might have an OS that really guards PCIe access as well and doesn't expect URs. And if it sees them, it goes, hey, you've got a bad driver or a bad device. Something really went weird. So, yeah, I think the OS.
Sorry,
I think
just one quick question. Do you expect any out-of-band management for PCIe corrected errors?
Maybe.
Yeah, it depends, right? From
can't preclude
hyperscaler
it.
policies, like in bare metal, right? In the case of bare metal, because you can't really run any in-band agent, and the kernel is owned by the customer, then you don't have a choice but to route.
This is written. It talks about out-of-band error logging only, right?
Yeah, this almost seems like it's focused on the corrected maybe fault retrieval using out of band.
Yeah, because I was really corrected error reporting example. So
okay.
that was
just reporting, right? Yeah. So
yeah, retrieval.
That's where the confusion was.
Yeah. No, hold on. For in-band, I don't want to call just reporting, because in-band method are not just for reporting but handling. In other words, I do want to clear them. I do want to take further action through the in-band agent, right?
Well, this wording is yours. I mean, I just accepted your changes, right?
Oh, sorry, my bad. I was somewhere I did mention handling, right? You say errors are expected to resilient.
Okay, that was your change. That was your title, though, so I'm confused.
Yeah. So out of band also says error reporting, right? So then I wanted to just kind of keep it consistent.
Well, mine said fault management. Yours said error reporting. I was going to change mine because I was talking about error reporting. And so the deal with PCIe management out of band is that if we can do it, that's pretty handy, because if it's a bare metal machine, we may not be able to trust the OS to do things. And I may know things about my machine as a server operator, right? I may have a particular PCIe device, let's say a network accelerator, that I know well, and maybe my customer doesn't really know that at all. So in that case, I may want to say, oh, I know what this means. I should do this to the link when I see this error. So it's not that we're excluding actions. It's just that we're not prescribing them because we don't know what they are.
I'm okay. Yeah, error reporting is okay, because error handling gets more involved.
This should be PCI corrected error reporting using this section about reporting.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm not excluding error handling though, Tanya. I'm just in the overall solution, I'm just talking about error reporting because I thought that's what the assignment was. So
and all the interface packs and all that are really meant for my reporting. And how we handle it is a lot of policy based, right?
Well, and like driving a link width reduction out of band, that is something a chip provider could do, and if they gave me data that I needed to figure that out, they'd be my hero and give me a chance to control it from the fleet when we have bare metal machines. That's wonderful. So we're certainly not precluding it. We're just not describing it in this particular example. Okay, I think we're pretty close. Like we need to clean up the PCIe stuff. Then there's some stuff, and were any of these like we're kind of out of time, Anil, but before you leave, we can work on the definitions in your absence, I think, because we have the essence of the in-band proposal intact. But is there anything here you wanted to cover while you were here?
No, and in fact, I mean, even though I'm traveling, but I'm still accessible and I can read the document. So if there's anything you want me to take a look at it, just put my name there and I'll get a notification and I can take a look at it.
Okay, I put some comments in because, and this may be this thing, like, I think you were trying to say these are synonymous.
Oh yeah, I tried. So this is where I just put my own comments there, because in my mind, hardware fault management. Sorry. hardware fault handling includes two parts: error handling and fault management. Actually, I'm going after. I read a white paper. Is there somebody from Oracle Cloud here in this meeting?
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So one of the white paper I read from you guys, and I think you made a very clear distinction, and I like that idea.
What was in between what?
The error handling and fault management. Error handling.
Right. So I think the difference broadly is handling is kind of immediate for containment scenarios.
Correct.
There's error, yeah, it's getting propagated through your system. How you contain it, and
Correct.
and then that is one thing. And fault management is the device has a fault. It could be transient, but once you identify it is a hard fault, how you can identify the device, the flu, and basically take it out of service.
Correct. And so I like that idea. So in other words, simplified view, my view is error handling is basically the platform specific or within platform, the RAS action, retry, spear, and anything you can do there, right? Is error handling. And fault management is you saw the error, you now correlating with some fault, and then making some decision at the cloud level, infrastructure level, either to remediate it or stop it. Basically, that's the fault management part. Right?
I guess I'm not quite. We need to talk about this more. We're probably out of time. I started using the term fault management in about 1998 or 9 when I started working on RAS, because RAS was a controversial term, and so I started using the term fault management to just say, hey, look, we're trying to be smart about what to do when errors happen. So I don't know.
So here's what I have my session, Drew. Why don't you come? Next following meeting, right? Share your thoughts of how we want to call these terminologies. Okay.
Okay.
And let me come with my one slide, and maybe Amber, you want to come through. Let's kind of brainstorm different views, right? And hear out from each of us, and then collectively make the call, and then come to a conclusion. Okay, this is the definition. This is the terminology we want to use. And
Yeah,
let's go with that.
Are you going to be here next meeting then? I thought, okay, I didn't think you were, so that's awesome. Okay, let's do that next meeting. That sounds
you don't, you can present, I can still catch up with you later. Yeah. The important thing is the rest of the team should really hear from all of us.
Let's work on that. I think it would be, and like one of the things I've been trying to promote fault management as like a discipline, because it's different from traditional RAS people who tended to be a little bit more supply chain focused, because supply chain was the first entity to notice, hey, I'm replacing an awful lot of parts and I don't like it. But the problem is that the people that were managing part replacements weren't always the experts in how the silicon worked.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, let's have a more detailed discussion on that next week. I think it'd be wonderful if we came to like a converged view of what these words mean.
Yeah, we have expertise, all expertise we can think of in the entire world here, right? So let's brainstorm and come with the right recommendation, right? The terminology.
Just to next week, most of the people will be in. It's AMD's holiday, so me and Vilas won't be here.
Oh,
it's long.
And I won't be here either.
Well, okay, should we?
And I think there's a long holiday, right? Friday and then Monday also, right?
That's right. Monday is also holiday, so.
I
think we won't have a lot of people
next week. Let me look. I'll be out the week after. I think like some people take the next week because they'll just extend Memorial Day, right? That's what I'm doing. So how do we want to do
I think it's okay to have the meeting. It's just whoever is there, let's brainstorm, right? And then maybe write down somewhere.
We'll try to make as much progress as we can and take some notes, and then circle back the week after. I'll be gone that week, but
I have a slide that I would like to present maybe once I come back following week. I'll be gone actually for 3 weeks, but I I will be able to dial in.
So you'll
week after next.
The 6th, which is the 3rd week out.
Yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, was sorry, week after next. But Drew, you said you're gone, right?
Yeah, the 30th, I'm gone.
Yeah, I can attend. I will be in Taiwan. I don't know what the timing difference would be. Let me take a look at it.
Well, we'll make what progress we can next week. Then, you know, like the attendance may be like the next couple weeks, and then, you know, starting the 6th, we'll be at full steam. And I think we should set a goal that, you know, like in June, like hopefully early June, we are done, and now we're ready to review the doc, like within our companies, and you know, go through whatever process we need to get it approved. But it'd be pretty much frozen in June. This revision.
Yeah. Yeah, middle of June, you said?
I'm up in early June, but yeah, early June.
Yeah, if you can make it middle June, then I'm good. I'll get at least one more week to review and edit anything else or respond to the comments.
Sounds good. And then what I would encourage folks is let's try to keep our changes to the essential things as best we can, so that we you know, we can just get this out. You know, we're so close. Let's just push it out, get it out, and then, you know, keep a list of things we want to change in the next version. Because we'll keep working. You know, we're not throwing it away. We're just trying to get it submitted so that we published an in-band and out-of-band solution for everyone.
Yeah. Hey, Yogesh, is Yogesh still there? I know we are way off.
Way over.
I wanted to know, is there any deadline to align with the global summit, like submission?
I think we should be okay if we do it in mid-June.
Okay. Yeah, the goal is to contribute it before the global summit.
Agreed. Well, let's give us some. So let's do it like with margin, you know, like a lot of margin, because I think there are going to be a lot of other mad dashes to the global summit too.
Yep. Cool. Thank you.
Just to get Drew, Anil, you guys are planning to add the PCI related things in this spec, or that would be a separate activity?
Probably separate. I mean, well,
okay.
I think what we're going to do is have a separate discussion based on the spreadsheet where we walked through with Erwin. We had a list of things we wanted to work through. So we're going to review that. And then we'll look through that and figure out the best place to put each thing. This spec is a problem because we're not really this is not a PCI SIG conversation. And so any change to the spec needs to go through SIG processes, not this. But if we have like requirements for how PCI is used, like how you use ftrace in Linux, that's different. That's not saying anything about the PCI spec. It's saying with the existing spec, we're building on top of it. And the SIG is generally okay with that. But if we start deriving things from the spec or changing things in it, then we need to be careful and have a SIG. So we can talk about the general changes we would like to see, but then the moment we start proposing the actual changes, we need to shift that from a public conversation to a SIG NDA discussion that results in a proposal working its way to the SIG. You see the difference? Like we just have to respect the SIG processes and intellectual property, and then we're okay.
But this spec is still, we still have some opens, and
we'll keep working on it. But we just have to decide how to divide it. Some of the stuff we do want to change is in the SIG. Like you know, Neil's mentioned that Meta's pushing some changes in, and I think AMD is as well. So let's just work through the list and see the best place to do each thing, because it'll vary. I mean, some of it could be OS changes too. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Cool. Okay. We're starting to lose people, but thanks everyone for your time this week. We're getting there. We're close.
Thank you.
Let's get it done.
All right.
Thanks. Have a good weekend, guys.
Thank you.
Talk to y'all later.
Thanks.
Bye.